Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I am Susan Routledge, your host, and in this episode, I am hugely privileged to have a great friend and business mentor of mine, Tony Beish, joining us. And Tony is known as the scaling secret for seven-figure business, and that is very, very true. She is so knowledgeable on everything to do with AI, social media, how to scale your business through online. And throughout this episode, it is just peppered with the most amazing information. So I hope you enjoy. Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I am Susan Routledge, your host, and I have the absolute privilege to have a good friend and business mentor, Tony Beish, with me, joining us from the Gold Coast in Australia. Tony, I mean, we've known each other for many, many years now, but could you just tell us a little bit about you, first of all, and then we'll get into how we met and all the great things we're going to talk about, including AI and marketing for salons, anything and everything about you, because you are so experienced.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Susan. I'm so excited to be here with you. It's such a privilege to be here with you and to be able to chat to your amazing listeners. My background is business coaching, consulting, and strategy. I work mainly with 6 and 7 figure business owners. Quite a few 8-figure business owners these days as well, which is great to kind of get into that niche as well. And I think I work mostly with course creators, membership owners, and those sorts of people that have got coaching businesses. But I've certainly had a lot of experience working with folks in the salon and the beauty and home and lifestyle industries as well. So I'm really excited to add a lot of value to you and your audience today.
Yeah, I mean, we met, first of all, it must be plus 10 years ago, is it?
2012, 2013,
yeah. Where we both were at Tony Robbins' Business Mastery. And you were there with Michael, I was there with JP. And we all just gelled, didn't we? And met there, remotely stayed in touch. And then obviously we got back in touch when I was looking for a business mentor and you were the obvious choice. And then we started working together. And I mean, oh my word, you know, the thing is that the knowledge that you had was just off the scale different to what I'd experienced before, because you were always just so far ahead. And I mean, one of the first things was learning about AI. I mean, I've always been fascinated by AI, and many years ago, I'd been to we were chatting about this yesterday, weren't we? I'd been to this conference where they were talking about AI, and this is, I think, before we even met, and they were talking about what jobs were going to go, and you know that you'd have your phone on your wrist, all these things, and I thought, this doesn't sound real. I came back, wrote an article about, are we going to get replaced in the beauty industry by robots? Not knowing that, like, how far things would come. And then when I was working with you, I think ChatGPT had just released about a day before you told me about it. Nobody else seemed to know about it. And I started getting into it then. It was just fascinating. And then I, like I said to you, when we went to Malta, took all the Beauty Directors Club members to Malta, I got ChatGPT to do a poem about us all going, and everyone thought we'd spent days doing this poem because it was so good, and it was literally just a flick of a button kind of thing. So how are you always ahead of everything, Tony?
Yeah, it's a good question. I sometimes wonder that myself. Like, how do I find out these things? I think I've just got like a ferocious appetite for learning new things and a huge curiosity. And so, I can't see something and not go, oh, what's that? And start to dig deeper into it. And that's really what had happened with me and AI. Like, I'd heard about AI, as had everybody, but not I probably wasn't deep in it. Like, I'm not a computer scientist, I'm not a geeky engineer. And I probably wasn't deep in it. And then I just remember somebody mentioning this thing and I was like, what is it? And so I immediately like signed up. I was like, I've got to give my phone number. Do I trust this company? Oh, screw it. Let's do it and just see what happens. And then I've since then, it wasn't that long ago. I've probably spent maybe 4 or 5 thousand hours just like spending a lot of time on AI just because I love nerding out on that stuff. And I love, for me, are we going to be replaced? No. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more. But I think it's like, for me, it's like the fact it's an accelerator, it's an amplifier. And, the things that we might spend ages playing around with, like your poem, like, that might have been something that either didn't happen and didn't have that amazing impact on, the people that were there in Malta with you, or it might have been something that happened, but you spent 2 days on it. But what else could have you spent that 2 days on? What else could have you done that could have impacted your business, your clients, the world, that you could have spent that time on? So I'm just like obsessed with like how can we leverage things, anything, to do things better, faster, easier, so that we can spend our time and our impact in other ways.
Yeah, because this is the thing. I think it's not going to, there are certain things it is going to be replacing, but I think it's that tool, that aid. And I know I have everyone in Beauty Directors Club using AI to simplify things, even if it is just to get ideas for blogs or ideas for posts or whatever. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. And I know you taught me how to make it so that it can really, really replicate your tone and your voice and everything like that. But it fascinates me so much. And I got invited to a private dinner not so long ago about AI, and it was fascinating because it was the first time they'd ever brought like the beauty industry into their conversations. And the gist that came out of it is that touch is the last thing. Like, touch is always going to be something, someone isn't, although they have tried to do machines where you can have your lashes done and things, it's that human contact and the connection that we have with clients. You're never going to be replaced with that. So I think we are in a very, very fortunate industry where, office jobs and things can be replaced. Because we are in such a personal industry, fingers crossed, we're going to be fine. I don't know what you think, Tony.
I couldn't agree more. I think for the beauty industry, it's just an amazing time to be alive, because I think two things are going to happen. Number one, with this acceleration of AI and the lack of human touch, people are going to be craving that human touch even more. And it's the physical touch that you get when you're getting a treatment, but it's also that connection you have with your therapist. Like, I know when I see like any of the people that I see for any kind of beauty treatments, like I consider them friends. Like, I have their personal phone numbers and I'm texting them because I've built that kind of relationship with them, and connection matters. And I know, you and I have talked about like your little black book of retention and those sorts of things. And that's something that you're great at, is having clients come back time and time again. And I'm sure that's something that you've taught to so many people, so they can do that in their, in their salons as well. But that's what can't be replaced, is that human connection as well as the human touch. And the second thing I think is, like, if you're in the beauty industry, probably your least favorite thing to do is all of the admin, like the scheduling and the follow up and the accounts and like all of that stuff that you're like, I just want to treat people and talk to nice people. I don't want to do all this crappy like admin-y stuff. And that's the stuff that's going to be automated. And at the touch of a button, it's going to tell you, oh, like, this is how you can do your rostering to make sure that you've got the right people in the right places at the right time. At the touch of the button, it's going to do all of your settlements for you on a daily basis. It's going to do an analysis and go, hey, you could increase your prices here, or, you know, there could be an opportunity for you to do a special, like that. It's going to do all of the thinking that you don't love and just let you be in your genius zone. So I think it's an incredible, incredible time to be alive if you're in the beauty industry.
Yeah, we can see the seeds of all of that, you know, in our software now. But I think, you know, it is going to all go to a whole new level. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? I can remember years ago thinking, you know, do we really need a computer? Do we need to... Can you imagine now? And how things
have... that are still doing it just with like a manual book, and I'm like, wow, like how?
Yeah, I mean, you've just got to think how much time it saved going from that to a computerized system. Now that computerized system, AI is going to kick in even more. It's just going to speed things up to a whole new level. But I mean, I know you've spent thousands of hours on AI. But where do you see that? I mean, obviously, ChatGPT was one of the very earliest things. Where else do you see, or where are you using it more in things? Is it more on imagery, or how are you using AI more now online?
Look, I mean, there's so much emerging AI, but a lot of it's really based on the same frameworks and the same, they call them large language models. And so everybody's got their preferences, like I like Claude or I like ChatGPT, or, you know, but they're honestly not that dissimilar from one another. And some will be better at some things and some will be better at other things. I'm personally still using it primarily for like brainstorming, copywriting. For me, it's replaced Google. I don't worry about spending time going through and searching on Google pages anymore. I just use AI to like tell me all of this and sort through all of the things on Google. I don't have to worry about ads and, you know, has somebody paid for that to be the placement, or have they worked really hard on their SEO to get that placement? I just ask AI and it does all of the work for me. The imagery, I find it really interesting and I love having fun and playing with it. But what you'll see is on socials, unless the person's like deliberately pointing out that the image they're using is AI, the AI imagery is not performing as well as real images still. And I think that's because, you know, you can see that slight AI-ishness, is that a word?
Yeah.
About it. And your body automatically goes, oh, that's fake. That's not real. And so over time, as it becomes like literally to the point where you can't differentiate it from reality, it might be a bit different. But I've literally split tested where same copy, same audience, everything, AI image that looks really good. If you looked at it standalone, you'd be like, that's really good. Real image is always outperforming from a marketing standpoint. I'm really interested in Sora that's just been released, which is the video, and I've just started to play around with that, but it's early days. But for me, it'll be interesting to see again, like initially, I think everyone will be like, wow, this is amazing. But over time, will we see that that's not real and start to kind of pull back from it? So it depends how you're going to use it. But I'm still using it a lot for that ideation, coming up with ideas, helping me kind of get a rough first draft of copywriting so that I don't have to sit there with that blank page-itis, those sorts of things. But that's how I'm using it a lot. But also in automations, like we're using it with one of my clients. We're currently installing it in their customer service team because AI will analyze all of the answers they've previously given and recommend answers. So there's a lot that we're using it for automations in business as well, which is super interesting.
Oh, that sounds interesting. So explain a little bit about that. Is that something that we could possibly use in our industry? So when you say that working with your team, but it's like generating sort of what they have answered, posing certain questions and then analysing what they need.
Exactly. So there's lots of software out there that's doing it, but Intercom's one of them. And effectively, it will create a knowledge base of every time. You can upload a knowledge base as well of like, if you've got existing SOPs or existing client answers that you've given before, it'll put that into a knowledge base. But then every single time you give an answer, it will track that. And then when somebody writes in and has like a customer service question, it'll pop up for the support person and say, hey, it looks like they're asking this question and we think this would be the right answer, as in we, as in AI. And then the customer support person can check that and go, yeah, that looks pretty good, or make a few tweaks and then send it. And the whole idea is to just make the client, the customer support team's life so much easier because they don't have to do so much thinking, but also to have that consistency around answers. So if you've got 10 different support people, you're not necessarily giving 10 different answers because it's all pulling from the same knowledge base. So
Mm.
that's incredible and exists now. The same if you've got like a course or a membership or anything that you've kind of recorded either audio or video. There's software now that uses AI. Actually, Stu McLaren was one of the developers, and it's part of his membership AI. He's got Wisdom AI, which will effectively take in all of your content, and anyone can go in and type and ask a question, and it will find the answers in your content. So if you've got like a large team in your salon and you've got all of your trainings recorded, you could upload that. And then if they're like, have a question, they could type in and ask, and it would give you the response based on everything it's learned and consumed from your training that you've put in there.
Wow, it's so good, isn't it? I
It's
mean,
really cool.
I use Stu's portal for Beauty Directors Club, and it's so good because just for searching for anything, I mean, there's so many things it does, but just the fact that you can pop in just a word and it'll search all of the content on that portal to find every bit of content where that's been mentioned and talked about, which is just, and in no time whatsoever. So it's just so good to, because, but I mean, I always encourage everyone to do training videos with that team so that, you, in essence, so you've got the timings right for treatments, and so you've got that perfect how that treatment should be carried out. But I mean, using AI and putting it all into a portal would be fantastic, because then an employee, one of the team, could just go and search straight away. I mean, it's so clever, isn't it? It's so good.
Because you want consistency in treatments, right? But say it's a treatment that someone new is doing or someone hasn't done for a while, and they're like, oh wait, do I put this product on before this product or this? And they just want to have a quick answer. They don't have to go, crap, which video was that in? They literally just type and it's like, oh cool, it's that, sweet, I'm good to go. Like, and it's just that efficiency and that enabler of consistency is incredible.
Wow. So I mean, as far as online marketing, I always think that is a big stickler for our industry, because again, it's classed as time consuming, and thinking of what you're going to post and whether you should post that, what to say, everything. Would you advise someone to use AI, or as in just for content ideas or for content creation? Because I know there's a lot where Google recognizes what's being produced by AI and supposedly doesn't show it to as many people, or is that just all pie in the sky now?
Look, I mean, it's definitely capable of doing that and it's probably doing that, but there's also a lot of like rumor milling going around. Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm blacklisted on Instagram and they've shadow banned me, and like literally like 0.1% of the population's really shadow banned, but everyone believes like they're shadow banned, but really just their content sucks and no one's engaging on it. And so I think there's a little bit of those like fables being passed around. But here's what I'd say. Like, as you know, I'm a massive fan of AI and I think it's an incredible accelerator. And I think it's great for that ideating and like brainstorming and coming up with ideas, because I don't know about you, but as much as I love marketing, like sometimes I'm like what would I post? And so having AI as a companion to like brainstorm with and bounce ideas off is amazing. Likewise, I'm pretty sure most people got into the beauty industry because they loved beauty, not because they loved marketing and copywriting. And so, likewise, writing a post, having AI help you do that can make it so much easier and so much faster. And sometimes it can articulate things in ways that no one else, well, not no one else could do, but, it just happens so much faster than you'd come up with on your own. Like your poem, it's like, yeah, you could have come up with that, but it would have taken you 2 days, or you can do it in 2 minutes with AI. So I love it for all of that. But here's the issue, is that AI has kind of leveled the playing field, right? Because anyone can educate themselves on how to use it. And yes, there's some people that, kind of know how to use it a little bit, and there's people that know how to use it a lot. And that the output matters, because kind of garbage in, bad prompt in, garbage out, bad response or not as good as it could be. So there's definitely that spectrum of how you do use it, but it has leveled the playing field because everyone can kind of use it to zhuzh up their copywriting a bit or get ideas. And so what that means is that there's so much more content being thrown out there in the world. So if you're listening to this and you've seen your social media reach drop, guess what? You're not shadow banned. It's just that there's a proliferation of content out there. And so it's so much noisier because there's just so much stuff that you've got to cut through. And the stuff that's cutting through isn't the same stuff. Like, if everybody in the beauty industry writes in and goes, I need to have 10 social media ideas for my salon, it's probably going to give about the same 10 social media ideas. And then if it's like, write me a post about facials, it's probably going to write a pretty similar post about facials. And so what I think the challenge is like, use it as the starting point to get the ideas. Use it as the drafting point, but you have to add a bit of your own magic in, because if you don't have your own stories, your own opinions, the thing that AI doesn't know unless you've spent hundreds of hours teaching it that yourself, if that's not in there, your stuff's going to just fall flat, because you're just going to be another seagull, and you need to be the flamingo in the sea of seagulls. If you want people to actually see your stuff, if you want to get eyeballs on your stuff, it's got to be a bit different, and it's got to be a bit of a zig when everyone else is zagging. And that rawness and realness and authenticity and connection, that human connection, comes from stories. It comes from opinions. It comes from genuine conversation and connection. It comes from the social part of social media, and that can't quite yet be AI-ified. Yeah, somebody will go, yeah, I can get my bot to talk to your bot, but at the end of the day, we all cotton on pretty quickly. We're talking to bots. And so that's the magic that you've got to remember to put your little pixie dust on top of it. So use it as the accelerator, use it as the amplifier, but don't just rely on that. And that might sound scary because you're like, oh my gosh, Tony, I thought that my life was so much easier. I could just I could just press a few buttons and have it. And you can. But for me, that's filler, and I want your content to be killer, because that's what people are going to see and that's what people are going to remember. So we want all killer, no filler. And so
I love that.
Yeah, but it's like less quantity, more quality. So spend that little bit of extra time putting your magic into it. And instead of trying to do a post every single day, do a couple of posts a week, but make them actually amazing, where people feel, oh my gosh, she's speaking to my soul, like she gets how I'm feeling. Or, your clients see you and your face and they're like, oh my gosh, like that's a real picture of her. That's not some weird AI image. That's gonna be the thing that differentiates you.
Yeah, I think that it is, isn't it? I think we all know that when you put out a post that has got an image in, a photograph, or is a video, then the engagement and it goes up hugely, doesn't it? Whereas when it's just generic posts, and that's the thing, I think it's very easy to forget that it's social. So it should be like interaction and sociable. And I think that is what AI can't do at the moment or doesn't do very well. So would you say that that is going to stay, where it really, for a salon owner who's thinking about how they should really up their marketing, is not to just be posting out all of the time, but it's thinking about what to do, and then from there using images of themselves, of their team, all that kind of thing? Would you say that is, and that's not going to change in a long time, is it?
No, because here's the thing is the way the algorithm works is that it shows your content to a small subset of people. And if that small subset of people engages on your content, then it goes, oh, this must be good content. Let me show it to more people. And if they engage, oh, that's good. Let me show it to more and more and more. And that's how you get eyeballs on your stuff, is by creating good stuff. And so if you kind of create average stuff and just like real straightforward, like 101 basic AI stuff, that's not going to get the cut through because everyone else is doing it. You're not going to stand out. So what you want to do is you want to create that content that when eyeballs get on it, they're like, huh, this is different. And they lean into it and they're like, okay, I want to read more. And what can really be super interesting is if you use photos of yourself, well, guess what? Your family, friends, clients, anyone who's seen your beautiful face before is automatically going to like it because they're like, oh, look, they're putting themselves out on socials. Let me be kind. Even if it's a pity like, they're still liking or commenting, engaging. That sends to the algorithm, this is a good post. Let me show it to more people. If you use a super standard AI image, stock image, some Canva template that's hugely branded, people aren't going to have that connection. You're not going to
Just
get
scroll
the
past.
pity likes, and so then your engagement's just going to go brrr. So for me, of course, you don't have to do every picture of yourself. If you're sitting there freaking out going, oh my gosh, this girl wants me to go and do a million selfies, like, oh my gosh, no. But just know that that's how it works. And so you've got to play the algorithm game a little bit and be like, cool, well, what would be easy for me to do is go into AI and have a bunch of like cool things come up, and I just give it to someone to chuck up on my socials and cross my fingers and hope for the best. But if I actually want to get cut through, let me be thoughtful about this. Let me put a picture of me or someone on my team so that people who have seen me before see it and recognize me. Let me say something that I know is like controversial is maybe the wrong word, but like it's not the average thing somebody's saying. Or let me tell a story that's not something that could be AI'd. And that's what's going to go, oh, okay, this is a different piece of content. And that's like what I came here for, is like the realness.
Yeah. So on social, I know AI can take social words that are searchable, kind of thing. But would you say that the image is way more important than the post, as in the wording, or how and how does that work with AI as well?
Yeah, good question. So I think the first thing that's most important is the creative or the image, because that's the thing that stops the scroll. Like when you're doom scrolling along, the thing that makes you stop is the image, because it doesn't matter what platform you're on, if it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, it's very image first. And so you've got to kind of get them to stop the scroll there. But how the algorithm works is it can tell how much time you're spending on that post. So if you just see the image and go cool, and then you click on the caption and it's like meh, and you very quickly scroll away from it before you finished reading it, then that's like, oh, well, they stopped for a second, but they didn't read the whole thing, so that mustn't be super high quality. Or they didn't engage on it, so it mustn't be super high quality. Or they didn't comment on it, whatever it is, it can tell. And so I think the key is, yes, you've got to think about what's going to stop the scroll. But you also then have to be able to back it up with good content and having a really clear call to action. People need to be told what to do. And so as stupid as it is, I promise you, if you just go and change your posts and say, share this with somebody that, needs to get a treatment this week, or, share it with somebody who needs to relax this week, you'll see the shares go up. If you say comment if you want a massage this week, you'll see the comments going up, versus just like how great are massages? Massages are amazing. Like, and you don't have that call to action. So being really clear and telling people what to do in the post is really important. How AI plays into that, the posts these days, the whole post is now like what they call SEO optim, like SEOable. So they can search the SEO keywords in the post. So before we used to use like hashtags, and that was the only way that it could see what's relevant. That was the only thing that sent the message. Now it can read the entire post. And so people are still using hashtags. That's great. There's no harm in using them, but it's actually more important to make sure that your whole post is relevant to the industry you're in. Because if you're it's great that people get to see a little bit of your world and the behind the scenes on socials, but if every post is about ice cream's amazing, my kids are annoying me, my husband plays golf, and there's nothing about the treatments you're doing, your salon, anything like that, you're not teaching the algorithm that your account's all about salons, beauty, and it's not then showing your account to people that would be interested in those things. So it's about just being mindful about what you're putting into your captions, and also even your videos, as long as you put it through the Instagram app and you don't use, or Facebook app and you don't use a third party app, it can actually read what you're saying, like what you're saying in the video, it can read that. And so it'll actually even pick up the topic of the reel or the video based on what you're saying if you put it through the app natively.
So are you saying then, Tony, so even if you are posting something about something that's happened, say someone in the team's had a baby and you're posting about that, really you still need either to balance that out with posts that are about the treatments, or are you saying that like if you're doing a lot of like stories and different things, as in about what's happening in the salon, as in personal kind of thing, and like and about the team and everything, that you would have to still relate it to treatments and things as well?
Yeah, but don't like overthink and overcomplicate this, right? And if you don't do it every time, it's not like, oh my gosh, you're banned. But it's just if you've got more posts than not that are talking about other topics, it's not going to help you. But let's just say somebody on the team has a baby. Oh my gosh, we're so excited. We've got a new addition to the salon. Little baby Bobby has arrived and we can't wait to give him his first treatment. Salon treatment, can't wait to see you in Northampton where we're about, and Northampton, like, so it's just sort of weaving in those things, and it'll be more natural and organic than you'll think it'll be, but it's just like, there'll be a couple of keywords that you want to make sure that you pop in them.
Oh my God, this advice is so good. So as well, I mean, obviously the algorithm, I think everyone always thinks, oh, I'm never ever going to beat it or get better on it. So if you are posting and getting absolutely practically zero interaction, how long can you expect it to take to get it better? Because I think you think someone will like do a few posts and then think, well, it didn't change, and just give up. So how long does it take to get good?
Yeah, look, I'd say two answers. First of all, I was coaching someone this morning and she's like, I don't know, I'm not getting any engagement on my post. What am I doing wrong? And I was like, what's your account? And I like just quickly while I was coaching, opened it up. I'm like, you have 8 followers. Like, of course you're not going to get any engagement. Like, we've got nothing to juice it. And no shade on anyone that's got 8 followers, but you can't like have a brand new account with a small following and expect to magically go viral overnight. Like sometimes it happens, but like so rarely. And so I think one thing is, juicing your account first. Like you've all got a whole bunch of clients that you probably have email numbers, phone numbers. You've got a way to communicate with them because you remind them about appointments and all of those different things. what if you, to at least get people onto your socials, you ran some kind of contest and like, hey, we're doing a contest. Somebody's going to win a £500 voucher. All you have to do is follow us, and you send them a text with the link to follow, and then you just draw a random follower to give a £500 voucher to your salon or something. Like, that's completely made up. It doesn't have to be £500, but like a way to get the people that are currently in your world to follow you, because if they follow you and they already have that connection, they're more likely to engage. So you're already stacking the odds in your favor. Like, imagine you were like going to be a beauty queen and it was a voting system. The gal who always like gets all the friends and family lined up to get online and vote is the winner, not the person that's necessarily the nicest or the prettiest or like, whatever else. It's the person that gamed the system. So we've got to game the system a little bit and juice it, and not just like sit and hope that people find us, but actually proactively tell people to come and find us there and give them a reason for them to follow us there so they can engage on our stuff. So that would be the first thing, is like, you can't just be like, I made 3 posts and nobody loved me, I must suck. You've got to put in the work to actually bring people there. The second thing is that, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if your content is falling flat, it's super easy to blame the algorithm, or to say you've been shadow banned, or like Instagram doesn't work the way it used to. The reality is I jumped on a call with Instagram maybe like 9 months ago now, and I like just pumped them. I'm like, they get on a phone call with me, I'm gonna like just pump them full of information. And I was like, I'm hearing like the algorithm's changed and it's hard. And by the way, we talk about the algorithm, there's actually thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of algorithms that are running it every single time, and they're all slightly different. And we know that there's some commonalities. And when we talk about the algorithm, we talk about those commonalities, but there's so many different things that are actually at play behind the scenes. But when I asked her about that, she's like, nothing has changed in a meaningful way that would reduce reach, that would reduce engagement. All it is that so many more people are on socials posting so much more content, and you've got to stand out more. So if you're doing the same content and it's falling flat, and you're just like hoping and waiting that one day you're going to go viral, it's probably not going to happen. And that's where you've got to have some fun with it and mix it up and try some different things, instead of just doing the same thing day in, day out and going, it's not working, Instagram hates me. It's like, well, what could you do differently that could shake it up, and just have fun with it? The stuff that's working the best on socials is the stuff that's not, I don't want to say there's no strategy, because there's a lot of strategy, but it's the more real, raw, off the cuff stuff that, if you have somebody that spends 6 hours on a post, and then you have somebody that spends 6 seconds on a post, sometimes the 6-second one wins over the 6-hour one.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's so easy to overthink it, isn't it? Kind of thing. And I think sometimes you've just got to play around and see what works, kind of thing. So as in playing around, would you say that you just constantly need to be checking what posts have worked, what haven't been so interactive, kind of thing, and then just from there just make more and more of those similar kind of posts that clients are obviously loving? I know it sounds common sense, but it's not always, is it? I think sometimes it's just that pressure of, you're busy in the treatment room, you've got some time, and then it's like, right, what should I post? Would you say that someone should be actively, how far ahead should they be planning as well with social media and things?
Yeah, so 2 things I'll say there. Number one, I am a big fan of creating more than you consume, because I feel like a lot of people fall into the trap of like, I'm researching on social media, and it really means you're just like in this spiral rabbit hole of like, doom scrolling reels, research. And so I do want people to create more than they consume. But I think the biggest miss sometimes is when I talk to people about how they can improve their social strategy, and I go, okay, show me what you're doing. And they show me, and I'm like, okay, now show me the type of reels that you, or reels, posts, whatever, it doesn't matter, that you love. Like, show me what's in your saved folder. Show me the stuff, like if we just scroll here for 2 minutes, show me what pops out at you. and they're very different. So if most of your clients are like you, and generally that's the case, like most of your clients are women, most of the people in the beauty industry are women, sorry to the boys that are listening, but it's the reality. And you know, most have got common interests. And so if you're seeing stuff and you're like, I love that, and then your content's nothing like that, you can see where the disconnect is. Like, you wouldn't engage on your own content. So why are you creating content like that? Create content more like this content that you engage on. And a lot of the content that you engage on won't be this highly produced, need 10 video editors to create. It'll be really raw, basic stuff. So I would say create more than you consume, but spend some time paying attention to what you actually engage on. I think the second part of that is look at other people in the industry. Yes, look at your own analytics, and what's performing best, and share that more. But also make sure you look at like other people in the industry and see what's popping off for them. Because if there's a trend or something that's working well, there's no shame in taking inspiration. Like, we don't want complete copycats, but there's no shame in taking inspiration from it at all.
So when you're talking about engaging, obviously a lot of the salons are local as well. So you talking about like engaging with other businesses and in the area as well, because then they're going to come back. And I think that is something that's hugely missed. The fact that like, so you've got all these great businesses around you and they're wanting to get more engagement. So they're going to engage if you post on their comment on theirs, they're going to start commenting back, which is a great way to like start and increase it as well, isn't it? Kind of thing. So
you think about it, like, no matter how much advertising you do as a salon, you know that the number one tool you've got in your arsenal is word of mouth, right? Like, if somebody recommends your salon, then people are much more likely to come in and book. And even when they come in and book, they're more likely to be happy because they're coming in trusting you because they've had an endorsement from someone else they already trust, as opposed to if they just come in from a random ad or something, they might still book, but they're like, is this place okay? You know, still coming in with that, like, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And so how do we drive more word of mouth? Well, the cool thing is on social media, we can make friends without leaving our bed if we just pick up our phone, you know, like we can make friends with all of the businesses around us. And I have personally so many times gone, you know, somebody's like, does anyone know where I can find blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, yeah, you should check out this person, blah, blah, blah. I haven't been there yet, but like, I've heard they're amazing. Like, and just because they've engaged on my stuff or I've seen them somewhere else. And so think about social media as not just this one way post and ghost, but instead social. And you know, the other thing is people notice who are commenting sometimes. And if you get the little blue tick, which you can pay for these days, and don't have to, please don't panic and think, oh my gosh, this girl's telling me I gotta go get the blue tick. You don't have to, but if you have that, your comment always sits at the top of the comments. So if people are engaging, if there's other businesses around you that are really cool at socials, and you start engaging on their stuff, and your comment's always the first comment, or you've got the blue tick, which makes you the first comment, well, guess what? A lot of people see your comment and they're like, oh, who's this salon? Oh, look, that's like, oh, and then they sort of go down that rabbit warren. So there's a lot of power in that visibility from doing that, but also the relationships that you can connect and create online.
How long does it take to get that blue tick without paying for it?
Oh gosh, good luck. Don't even bother. I've had clients that are like, because they want you to have sort of like a celebrity type status in order to do it. And you've had to have articles written about you and all of these things. And like, yeah, I know a few people that have pulled it off, but I've got some clients that are very famous on the internet and they've still tried and never managed to pull it off. So I would say I wouldn't, unless you are legitimately a celebrity, I would not even bother trying. I would either just say it's not for me right now, or I'd pay for it. But you don't have to pay, like they've got a whole sliding scale these days. You just have to pay in Australia, I think it's like $30 a month. I'm not sure what it is in the UK, but it's not a huge amount every month and you don't need, you can have the higher one if you want, but to get the blue tick, you don't need the higher one.
And is it worth, I know we're going slightly off kilter, but is it worth having that? Would you say, or would you really need to be quite active on socials before that is ever going to be something that is worth paying for?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. Like when I think through all of the clients I work with, I would say most of them have it, but some don't. And they're not like Tony says I should have it and I don't. It just really depends if the juice is worth the squeeze and whether or not you need that authority. The one thing I will say is no doubt, when you're scrolling through and you see a blue tick, there is that natural instant that account has more credibility kind of vibe. And then there is the benefit that you do kind of get featured higher in comments and those sorts of things. There's supposed to be benefits that you get better help from Meta and all of those things. I'm yet to see. I think it's better, but it's still not great. Sorry, Meta, please don't block me. But it's still not great. And so, if I had a salon, would I have it? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I have it on my accounts, and if you guys search me, I'm not very active, but I think it's worth having it for that visibility piece. I get, sick of helping everyone else with their socials and marketing. I just don't do anything with my own, but I still have the blue tick because I'm like, it feels worth it for the small investment to me. But it just depends where your business is at, and if that feels like a small, who cares about the 15, 20 quid, whatever it is every month, go for it. But if that feels like, oh, that feels uncomfortable, just don't do it. It's not gonna be the end of the world. You don't have to have it to win on social media.
And I know I'm taking up all your time, but I just quickly as well, obviously we've just started to touch on paying. What do you think about paid traffic on like boosting posts and things like that, Tony?
I'm a big fan, and I know that probably scares a lot of people in the beauty industry because, ads are freaking scary. There's lots of people that they do marketing for a business and they're still scared of ads. And so I get it, but I'm a big fan. And here's my rationale is that I see a lot of people, particularly in the beauty industry, that they feel really overwhelmed by marketing and social media. And they're just like, oh, I've got so many other like managerial tasks to do. And I've got, I still love treating and I want to treat. And unless they've worked with you, in which case you've probably got them, having a holiday in Malta. But, if they haven't worked with you yet, they're still sort of going, I've got all this stuff to manage. I still want to treat. And they're like, oh, social media feels like a drag, like I hate doing it. So then they end up hiring somebody to take care of it. And it might even just be the person that they've got doing reception and they get them to spend part of their time doing socials or whatever else. And that's got a pretty significant cost to it because, you think of however much you're paying that person for each hour of their time and how many hours a week they're spending on that social content. And I just have this belief, if you spent that money instead on boosting your content or running ads to your content, you could do way less content, make sure it's good, but because you're doing way less, it doesn't take your time, and then just put the ad spend behind it and you'll actually get more eyeballs on it because ultimately Meta wants us to pay to play, right? And they still let us have some organic wins, but ultimately they're a data company. They steal our data and use that for all sorts of magic tricks behind the scenes, but they're also like a money-making business through their ads. And so they want us to pay to play. And I'm not saying everyone has to pay to play to be successful. Please don't think that. But sometimes we think it's cheaper to keep doing it organically. But when you look at the actual cost of somebody else's time that's doing it or your own time that you could be doing something else and amplifying it with ads, it's actually better to do the ad spend. And ads can be scary, but if you do the boost strategy right, it can be phenomenal. Like one of my clients makes over 2 million a month and primarily uses just the boost strategy. So it works just to, that's with very straightforward, not overcomplicated ads, but just boost. So if you do it right, it can be a really powerful strategy.
Yeah. And would you say that it's something that really you just need to do a bit of research into and start to learn a little bit more about, kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. But also don't overthink it. Literally, just boost with the
and see what
you're having. Yeah, and just go for profile views because that will get you followers and followers get you more engagement. And and ideally, if you've got followers that are already your perfect people, just do the automatic audience that it recommends. Or if you don't have, once I have a client who once bought followers because he was worried that his son's dog had more followers than him. So he went and bought a bunch of followers for Iran. So he can't do the automatic one because he doesn't want them to engage. But you can just do light targeting in terms of location, age group, gender, and a couple of interests. You can do light targeting through Boost. And that's it. And then when somebody follows you, instead of just letting them follow you, send them a little note and say, hey, thanks so much for the follow. So grateful to have you here. Means so much that you're following a female founded local business, like whatever is meaningful to you and your business. And then say, as a new follower bonus, I'd love to offer you 10% off your first treatment. Here's the code to use when you come in, or just show this message when you come in, or whatever else. If you just do your Boost strategy, Boost for profile views, which turns into followers, and you send every follower a welcome message with some kind of incentive for them to book or come in, you'll see that it'll have a really significant impact.
Yeah. And then it's turning that, once you've got that person in, turn them into that long-term client. So, I mean, that Boost then...
All you have to do is ask Susan about that.
I know I'm so fortunate that obviously that I've learned so much from you. But the thing is as well, in the UK as well now, we've just, for Beauty Directors Club, we've just secured a lot of funding for training as well in social media and things, which is going to be fantastic. So there is things where, now I think over the next year or whatever, there is going to be more resources as well to help. As I say, I think everyone's signed up in Beauty Directors Club now to do this trend, so to watch this space kind of thing. But I mean, as well, obviously, I know you're not, you do everyone else's socials and help with that, but you're not huge on there yourself. But if anyone wants to follow you and engage, how would they do that, Tony?
Yeah, you can jump onto Instagram, follow me. It's just Tony.Beish. You'll be wowed by my 3 posts. But I'm always happy to chat to you in the DMs. But very exciting for you, Susan, that you've got that funding, because I know how much heart and soul you put into all of the training for your Beauty Directors Club, and how much the people inside there get so much benefit from, your wisdom and everything that you bring to it, but also all of the experts that you bring into that community. And so I would say to anyone that's listening, if you haven't already become part of Susan's Beauty Directors Club, she's very fussy about who she lets in, because she only wants to let the best of the best in. But I would absolutely reach out to her.
Oh, thank you, Tony. This has been an absolute pleasure. And the thing is that the amount of information you've given has just been priceless. So I cannot thank you enough, Tony. You constantly just wow me with what you know. So thank you. And I know we've only just touched on it, but thank you so much for giving your time. I know it's getting later in the night for you now, and I'm in the morning because we're in different time zones. So thank you. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks so much.